If you've ever felt silenced by gatekeepers, imagine this: early Christians used precise words against invisible rulers. What if a woman taught the most direct method? Your strength, not fear, became the key. This wasn't erased by accident, it was erased because it empowered you. Have you ever wondered why clerical gatekeepers set who could fight inner forces? The official Christian story made ritual and ordained clergy the keepers of exorcism. Bishops claimed sole authority to name and cast out demons. Gnostic groups offered another script. They taught inner knowledge, practiced speech, and personal experience could confront rulers without clerical mediation. Why would shared spiritual power threaten bishops and councils enough to oppose it? The Gospel of Mary survives in the Berlin Codex Papyrus Berolinensis 8502. Found in Cairo in 1896, it likely dates to 2nd century Egypt. In it, Mary says, "I saw the Lord in a vision." In that vision, she receives practical instruction to confront archon rulers during the soul's ascent. The text reads like taught resistance, not church ritual, leaving a sharp question. Picture a 2nd century seeker in Alexandria, ashamed and watchful. In a small home gathering, someone reads Mary aloud. She hears that naming what binds you and speaking truth frees the soul. The room is ordinary, but the practice is urgent. That woman leaves with a mantra and steadier feet. Could these simple phrases help you answer inner rulers today? Despite such grassroots practice, Roman bishops and church councils systematically erased women's exorcistic authority. Early patristic critics like Irenaeus and later canon law pushed clerical monopoly. Then Pope Gregory the Great recast Mary Magdalene into a penitent, narrowing public memory. These actions erased living practices and redirected devotion into non-confrontational roles. But here's the paradox. You can reclaim this method now. First, identify the inner ruler that owns your fear or shame. Second, speak a counter-statement that names truth over threat. Third, steady breath and posture while you repeat it. These simple steps mirror Mary's teaching. Name, stand, answer. To see why Mary's path sounds unfamiliar, let's lay out the official Christian story next. If you've ever been told only priests can handle demons, you were hearing the official story. It treats demons as external invaders and reserves power for ordained hands, rituals, and approved prayers. That claim reorganized spiritual life, making authorization more important than healing. Why should that matter to you now? Decades after, the official path made exorcism a clerical monopoly. Bishops and their deacons deployed sacred names, relics, and scripted rites. Gnostic traditions offered a different map: inner knowledge, personal practices, and speech that transformed the mind. Gnosis prized direct experience over clerical permission. Which approach actually equips a fearful person to act at home without waiting for a license? Look at Mark's line, "In my name they will cast out demons." In late 1st and 2nd century Rome, bishops used that promise as a rallying point. By the 3rd century, the Roman Church created an order of exorcists and formal procedures. A text meant to empower became a tool to centralize power and exclude lay agency. What does that mean? Imagine a frightened mother in 4th century Rome pacing a basilica courtyard. She brings her troubled son to a bishop's deacon because she's told only churchmen can act. The family waits for authorization instead of learning simple words to face fear at home. Have you ever wondered why ordinary people were told to hand over their courage and speech to clerical gatekeepers? Councils and bishops tightened rules, narrowed who could perform exorcism, and set time limits on remedies. That policy erased lay-led responses for generations and concentrated ritual inside clerical structures and later handbooks. Manuals taught special rites, holy objects, and controlled speech acts reserved for credentialed ministers. This suppression secured institutional authority. But here's the paradox. Gnosis flips the script. The Gospel of Thomas teaches, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you." That single line restores personal authority and the idea of practiced speech as power. You don't need permission to start learning responsible spiritual language. Now let's open the Gnostic source that restores personal authority and shows the exact phrases used. If you've ever wanted a clear script when fear attacks, Mary gives one. She teaches a short, repeatable response for the soul. This matters because modern anxiety functions like ancient archons, testing recognition and agency. Most systems tell you to ask permission from authority, to act, to defer. What out you? A gnosis flips the script. The Gospel of Thomas teaches, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. That single line restores personal authority and the idea of practiced speech as power. You don't need permission to start learning responsible spiritual language. Now let's open the Gnostic source that restores personal authority and shows the exact phrases used. The Gospel of Mary, found in Cairo in 1896, likely dates to 2nd century Egypt. In the text, the soul ascends, and hostile powers challenge it at each gate. The soul answers plainly, what binds me has been slain. That line is not ritual bravado. It names the obstacle and claims authority over it. Yet establishment readers once dismissed this as dangerous. A modern reader sits under a wave of shame and writes the phrase on a note card. The room is small, the card rough, and the thought loops. You're worthless. She stands, breathes, and says aloud, what binds me has been slain. She repeats it until her body steadies and the idea loses force. This is the church leaders responded. Irenaeus attacked heretical teachers around 180 CE. Athanasius's 367 letter narrowed authorized books and monks burned other writings. Gregory the Great's 591 sermon recast Magdalene to fit an approved image. Communities hunted and erased competing voices and manuscripts, survived by chance like BG 8502 found in Cairo 1896. But here's the paradox. For you the lesson is simple, and empowering effectiveness and integrity matter more than gatekeeper approval. If a practice changes you and softens your inner rulers, its authority is real whether bishops affirm it or not. Have you ever chosen clarity over credentialing? Now that we've named the clash, let's decode Mary's symbols so you can apply the method without confusion or mystique. If you've ever felt attacked by spirals of thought, here's the decoder. Mary uses simple symbols that map directly to daily life, not fantasy. Those spirals pretend to be commanders. They demand obedience and make you doubt reality. This matters because internal rulers shape choices and sleep. Want to learn how to answer them? Official Christianity leaned on rules and priests to manage sin and order. Gnostic teachers named inner rulers instead. They called them archons, fear, craving, shame, rigid fixations. Gnosis trains the mind to notice, name, and release what constricts. It returns authority to the practitioner, not the pulpit. Have you ever wondered why rules feel like safety but breed more binds? The Gospel of Mary survives in fragments from 2nd century Egypt. Its core line warns against rigid rules. Mary says, do not lay down any law. That sounds radical. She doesn't mean chaos. The point is flexibility. Inner rulers tighten when you cling to external rules. This contradiction exposes a danger in worshiping rule-keeping as spiritual practice. A stressed student made strict rules to beat anxiety. More hours, less sleep. Each rule birthed a new archon. Her performance collapsed under the weight of obedience. She tried Mary's mode, named the anxiety aloud, answer it calmly, and let the mind. Now let's turn it into a daily practice with clear steps and a simple call to action. If you've ever needed a script at 2 a.m. when panic hits, Mary gives one. This is not poetry. It is a practical verbal tool. Early Christians kept scripts for the soul. Church officials turned many of those practices into clerical monopoly. Have you ever wondered how a single simple line could still calm a body and mind? Curious to learn more? Orthodox histories say prayer and hierarchy bring rescue. Bishops shaped which practices counted as authentic. Gnostics taught a different way. They handed disciples short, repeatable replies that interrupt fear's claim. Mary modeled this lay technique for her circle. Could a disciplined spoken counter-saying be the tiny ritual that ends a long night spiral? The Gospel of Mary says, I will tell you what is hidden. In the Berlin Codex, Mary then teaches the soul's words to the archons. The manuscript reads like practical training in recognition and reply. It offers simple counters for fear, shame, and compulsion. If lay people were taught verbal drills, why did established leaders feel threatened and take action? A parent stands at the sink overwhelmed and awake at night. She breathes low and steady. She says her counter-saying 3 times. Her shoulders drop. She names the worry's pattern to her partner. Then she chooses one small caring action rather than spinning. That tiny practice proves the bind has loosened, and it can work for you now. For centuries, bishops and imperial councils erased these lay scripts from public practice. Irenaeus and other church fathers hunted alternative rituals. Leaders framed these tools as dangerous and removed them from teaching. This suppression pushed spiritual help into clergy hands and away from households. You can reclaim it. But here's the paradox. Today, pick one bind. Name it plainly without drama. Write a present tense counter-saying that ends its authority. Speak it aloud while breathing steadily. Then take one small, aligned action to prove the bind lost command. Speak the name, break the grip. If this helped, subscribe, share your counter-saying in the comments and tell us where gatekeepers once silenced you. Ready to practice?